Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hangouts with Visionary Leaders, thoughtful and engaging discussions with visionaries, thought leaders, and change makers that open us up to a new narrative for our future, both individually and collectively. My guest today is evolutionary musician and performer Tanya Ridgely, also known as T-Bird Love. Her music is truly evolutionary. You'll be hearing it in just a moment. And really her genius, I believe, lies in her willingness and her ability to take risks in order to open us up to the inherent beauty of our unique perspectives. It's her authenticity that really transcends her music from this place of music being a performance to taking music into a sacred transmission, really. Hey, T-Bird, how's it going?
Hi, really great. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to get into some really cool discussion with you in just a moment. For now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lisa Ingalls. I'm your host. I'm the founder of Inner State Coaching, where I work with people who are waking up and changing the world through my program, The Awakened Visionary. It's a leadership program for conscious business owners who want to make a significant contribution to humanity and this planet. You can find out more about me at www.innerstatecoaching.com. So here's the thing. We've reached a new era of human possibility. Individual as well as collective leadership is really critical as we navigate our way through old and outdated paradigms that just no longer serve us in moving towards an expanded life and a freer future. I believe that humanity itself is on a precipice of a new era of peace, of sustainability, of health and prosperity, but the question is, how do we individually and collectively commit ourselves to being in peace and to declaring an end to disharmony? And will we and can we as a collective turn the potential for possibility, for this possibility, into probability? And if so, how do we do that? So these are the types of questions that we bring to the table on this show. We're really interested in exploring innovative ideas through engaging discussion that can help us to birth a new humanity. So this show is really all about bringing together visionary leaders and change makers to give guidance and support and inspiration as we awaken to our individual and collective potential. So in this episode, which is really our kickoff episode for the season, T-Bird is going to be joining me as we explore what role music plays in our personal and collective evolution and how each one of us can use music as a way to respond to the outrageous pain, the chaos, and the suffering that humanity is experiencing. So before we go into that, I want to give you a little bit more of a bio about T-Bird and who she is, for those of you who've never met her. So T-Bird Love is one of my dear friends. She lives here in Oakland, California, and her mission is to instigate freedom of expression and inspire all of us to take whatever we find beautiful and to stand behind it and to support it and to proliferate it. She's shared the stage with leading visionaries such as Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, who many of you probably know from the movie The Secret. He's also the founder of the Agape Spiritual Center down in LA. She's shared the stage with Barbara Marx Hubbard, who's the founder of Conscious Evolution, as well as Dr. Mark Goffney, who's the co-founder of the Center for Integral Wisdom. T-Bird has also been featured in TEDx San Francisco, Radiate Living Radio in Lincoln Center, New York, True Colors TV, and on the Wow Factor conference, and let me tell you, a whole bunch more that I'm not even saying right now. I want to also add to all of that that on top of being an evolutionary performer and musician, T-Bird is also the director of online communications for the Center for Integral Wisdom, and she's really helping to create a bigger awareness about the integral movement. So if you're joining us live, please do let us know that you're here. We want you to be a part of this discussion. What role does music play for you in your life? And to just kick off the show here, T-Bird is going to give us a little musical transmission. Take it away.
Thank you, Lisa, for that.
Oh, I always love it when you play. I remember the first time I heard you play, it was at FemTalks, actually, when I heard you play, and you always like have this way, I mean, I'm sure all of you viewers out there can sense and feel, even though T-Bird, she didn't have any special equipment except for her little mic on her headset to amplify, but just the radiance and beauty that you bring with your music, it's unlike anything I've ever experienced before, T. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. It is my pleasure, really.
So, okay, here, let's go with this. When you play music, it's not composed, is it? I mean, like this, you're not playing a piece that you have made up before. You just are transmitting it, right?
A lot of the times, yes. Where I improvise, like just now I just improvised, and sometimes I might have certain themes or motifs that I work from that kind of set the mood or the tone of what I'm bringing in. So I would say I'm definitely a great improviser, and there are songs that I have composed as well, but in this moment, absolutely, it's just what's being asked for right now.
It's so cool. How do you access that? How does that happen, that you're just able to, I know that musicians do this, but what you're doing, but first of all, before you answer that question, what were you doing? Like, for those who have never heard you, I mean, you weren't just playing flute, you were also singing at the same time, right?
Yeah. So what was I doing? So kind of to wrap up that whole thing, well, I've been playing for 30-something years. So I have a lot of technique. I was classically trained, which gave me a lot of skill. So I had to gain, the technique to really have a great sound, and classical music really kind of gave me that. But then, I was curious about, what else, and when I was in my first year of college, I remember meeting a mentor in the newspaper, actually, who was selling an alto flute at the time, and I had never seen one. So I went over to his house, and this man opened the door with a flute, playing it, and he had all of these prepared pianos and bass flutes and alto flutes, and he turned out to be a professor at Carnegie Mellon, which is where I was going at the time for classical music, and he turned out to be an art professor there who loved playing the flute, and he started taking me to an aviary every Sunday morning and having me listen to the sounds of birds and imitate them. And that was one of the most incredible things I had ever done, because then all of a sudden I heard music in a different way and began to experience it in a different way, in a more connected way. So when you say, okay, what are you doing? It's like I literally step into this place of, okay, the feeling and the energy, I hope this makes sense, of connecting with spirit. Because being in that aviary, it was no longer just about music on a page, which carry their own beautiful frequencies and translating what these amazing composers have created for me to express, but what are the sounds and the feelings that might not be necessarily composed? How do I recreate them through this wind instrument? And I'm dealing with all these elements, particularly wind, and how to translate them through music. So I feel like when I step into that place of improvisation, which again has taken me, I've been playing for 30 plus years, combined with my technique I learned from classical music and then eventually all kinds of world music, but I step in and I literally, as I prepare, as I get ready to bring my flute up, I open my heart and I just ask Spirit, okay, what is it that you need from me right now? And what is it that the people who are around me, my audience, what do they need right now? And let me be of service. And that's how I felt those birds were for me, to let me discover a part of myself through mimicking them, through listening to them. And then not even just the birds, but what the water sounded like in the room and the wind. And it just really kind of clicked in a different awareness. So I always step in with a curiosity and from spirit and ask what it needs from me and what you all need, and then I just let spirit do its thing as I'm the vessel.
I mean, we can absolutely feel that. Here's Carrie saying, goosebumps, T-Bird. You said aviary, resonating truth. So I think we're feeling it here, getting some comments from Pamela, and Marcus is here as well. So an aviary, your mentor took you to learn from nature, these sounds from nature. I mean, how beautiful is that? It's wow, that is cool. That's absolutely amazing. And we can. Is that how you got your name, T-Bird?
It's funny. It is amazing, and I'm really a blessed, lucky person. Because I've had such amazing mentors and teachers take me and hold me. And T-Bird, Thunderbird, comes from, it's a name that I didn't give myself. I get this question a lot. For a few reasons. It was given to me through my community. One, yes, because of first playing with birds, but the symbology of the Thunderbird of transformation and my personality, and even the way that I play, this sort of fierce kind of rapid transformation. My ancestry also is linked to two different tribes of First Nations people, and it's really interesting how it comes full circle and how we're given names. Like the name we're born into has a very specific frequency. Tanya carries the message of one who is here to teach something, and Thunderbird, all about transformation. And it's interesting how my life has shaped as a result of both of those names, just as I've gotten older and had experiences and tapped into that. So yeah, that's definitely a part of how I got my name, and I just feel really blessed and feel that spirit has totally got me, and that music is part of my muse.
When is the earliest time that you remember being musical, or you having this gift for music? I mean, did it come to you singing? You said the flute came to you later. What was it for you? Yeah. How?
So,
T-Bird, how?
so I imagine, I guess it's, I don't know, for a lot of people. For me, yes, at a very early age, when I was younger, it was The Muppet Show. It was The Muppet Show. I saw Dolly Parton sing on The Muppet Show. I saw Julie Andrews. They had all of these amazing singers, and I said, oh my God, I want to be just like that because of how they made me feel. You know,
You
it was
didn't
like
want to
music,
sing
it was
like Miss
fun.
Piggy or Kermit?
I love Miss Piggy. I love Kermit. I was like ready to be in their family, you know, and but I remember just seeing these incredible singers, and then in my family, when I was a kid, we used to go to Baptist church, and the singing in the church and people in the community at the time uh, had these amazing voices, and they were like my access to my radio stars. There was something powerful about feeling music and the way it made me want to dance or feel or imagine myself in all of these different places. I mean, it just felt like power, but like power of possibility and creativity and love, and it was just so engaging and playful, and it could express emotions. And you know, it's funny, I think this just came across. You guys remember that song "Send in the Clowns"?
Oh
Remember
yeah.
Barbara Streisand's?
Yeah.
You know, I used to cry on that song because of where it touched me, even though it wasn't about anybody dying or anything, but there was something in the frequency of that, and not crying because, like, oh my God, this is such a bad thing, but because it emotionally touched me in a deep place that allowed me to access something that was inside of me and allowed me to connect to it. And I thought that was amazing as a child, you know. Music, singing, my mom singing around the house, the different kinds of music, blues, you know, Miles Davis. I mean, there were so many things that just like, it was in my soul. I feel like I was born and destined to be a part of this, you know, a lot of
Yeah.
outside source. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So, okay, so in just a moment, I want to talk a little bit about how music, the role that music plays in our awakening of this planet, and we'll do that in just a moment. I just again want to bring up a couple of comments and take a little station break here. We have Pamela who says, learning from nature, the birds is one example. That's where it's at. Aviary goosebumps. She's responding to Carrie's previous comment, and we also have Marcus who's saying, great, applauding intensely. Yes, I think we all were applauding intensely T-Birds. She's just phenomenal. So for a moment, I'm going to just take a break here and just let everybody know that you can subscribe to this show, Hangouts with Visionary Leaders, at www.innerstatecoaching.com/visionary leaders. And when you subscribe to this show, you're going to get advanced notice of upcoming visionary leaders, just like T-Bird. Well, not just like her, because she is her own unique expression of vision and visionary. But you will get advanced notice of upcoming guests. You'll get replays of all the shows and any type of insider promos that I can convince my guests to give you. So again, that's www.innerstatecoaching.com/visionary leaders. And now back on to talking a little bit and sort of transitioning this discussion, T-Bird, to music as a conduit for our awakening. And now, I don't think that there's any argument out there. So many people will say, oh my gosh, music touches me, it takes me to a different place. We were having some great discussion about this in the green room before we went on air today. But tell me a little bit about how it works for you, or your understanding of how you think music invites, or how you see music inviting people into an experience of evolution. And I don't know, we might need to define what we mean by evolution or awakening in that answer, but maybe that's a place where we can start.
Okay. Well, it's definitely an interesting and powerful topic for me. One, I believe music is a universal language. I've experienced it time and time again throughout my life of connecting with so many different people, whether I was in the Sahara Desert with a bunch of nomadic tribe people who we didn't speak the same language, but we could play music together, and it was as if we were family. It didn't matter if we didn't have the same, common language, but music was that universal language. To historically watching how music has helped evolve culture, from Renaissance music to classical music. I mean, there used to be riots, the Rite of Spring, how music has expressed evolving consciousness, whether it was in hip hop, whether it was used as more like sort of in medicinal purposes, whether sitting in traditional ceremonies or using it to relax. There's something about frequency and energy that music provides and brings. What's interesting, I think, for me personally, as I've started to come to understand really what it means and actually how really powerful it is for me personally, is understanding that I feel like I was born with a special gift of transmission of energy by first learning technique, melody, learning how to play all kinds of music, but then going a step further. I've noticed throughout my performing, when I perform particularly live with groups of people, something happens in the room. And that something that happens in the room isn't necessarily just because I did it. It happened because I was co-creating with this bigger energy of sound transmission, inspiration. I feel like one of my strongest gifts that I do contribute is inspiration, because I've trained enough to be able to do different things on my instrument. But spirit walks in the room. Now, how does that evolve? How does that create an awakening, or how does that, evolve consciousness? I've literally experienced people come up to me and say they either cry sometimes because they realize that there's something inside of them that's ready to be expressed that they've been resisting for a long time. Whether it's, they used to make music and something traumatic happened to them where they were told that they weren't that good at something, or they shouldn't do that, and how they loved it but it got squashed and stamped away. Or people who say, I do that but I was too afraid to go where you go because I wanted to look a certain way. And I really felt like I have this permission, or I'm really inspired and motivated to just take a leap of faith and just dive into really being more generous with my willingness to take this sort of courageous step, this kind of unique risk. And I feel like that's just like a tip of the iceberg. I feel like the more that we have that kind of energy to take those kinds of risk, those kind of courageous leaps of faith into sort of actualizing more of who we actually are, I think the better off we are in humanity. We actually step into more of our greatness. And in some ways, music creates that sort of safe space first, because it doesn't use words. It tingles something on the inside. When we see something or hear something new, it's like, oh my God, I didn't know that could be done. I'm inspired. How can I do that in my own craft? And then the more they start doing it in their own craft, we start doing it in other areas of our lives, like our personal relationships, whether it's we let one go that no longer serves, or finally allow ourselves to receive ones that are really available to us, or taking that leap of faith to start that new business. So I feel like it creates this contagious sort of ripple effect of really trying on new things with a curiosity and a motivation to go for it. And I think that's really important as we shape this new paradigm. And the other important thing is I'm saying that is connection. Connection's coming in. It's all about connection. We've got to be connected. I'm a huge advocate of weing together, like we got to do this, we. I know that I just created a solo performance, but there's something really beautiful about playing with others.
Well,
the
and
collaboration.
also, as you say, that in the we experience of this is that you were solo, but you had witness to that performance. So in that, there's the we experience of it, the collective experience, your experience as a performer, our experience as witness to the, and not even performance, because again, I feel like what you do is not performance. It really is transmission. You guys out there who, if you ever have the opportunity to see T-Bird play outside of a hangout like we're doing right now, but really, it really is a transmission, and I understand what you're talking about when you say that people come up to you and they're touched, they cry. I've seen people come up to you when you've performed before, like watched it from the outside. And one of the things that you do, and this is, I think, a quality of an evolutionary musician, is that they, and you are obviously included in this, have the ability to access levels of consciousness, higher states of consciousness, so that those people who are participating in an observer way, the witness, the audience, if you want to put it in that framework, can access those higher states through you in that witnessing experience. And that's what that gets touched in them, is that they've experienced those higher states. We might call it God or spirit or unified field or whatever we call it. So yeah, I'm sort of saying from that perspective.
It's wild. It's a wild experience, and I feel really blessed that I get to be a vehicle. I mean, I feel like my mission in this lifetime is to really instigate freedom in others, and I'm lucky enough to, harmonic resonance. I'm lucky enough, blessed enough, aware enough to be of service in that way. Like I purposefully step into this, and I purposefully care about humanity and being a part of the Great Awakening and being a trailblazer and a pioneer, and being able to bring this kind of energy down, not even down, to make it more available through frequency. And it blows me away sometimes. I'm still learning, through what comes out of me when I play the flute as one of the things that allows me to do this. And it's not so much of me disappearing, it's me just making myself available and co-creating with, I like to call it, universe, to do this and be of service. And it's such a gift and such a delight for me to know what my purpose is, and to use my gifts and talents to just literally help activate whatever is necessary in other people. And I don't even have to use words. I can just play.
That's the beautiful thing. That's the beautiful thing. We were talking about this as well earlier, is music, and not necessarily pop music, but music in general. That's one of the things why I love Balinese music and Indian music and all these world music that have chants or just have the music piece of it. It's because it is a universal language. It touches everybody. You don't need words to describe it. And I want to bring up Carrie. I had pulled her question up there for a moment, but she says, as you're speaking, T-Bird, keep getting the phrase harmonic resonance. I'm not even sure what it is, but feeling like this is what helps people to be moved and inspired. Do you have any thoughts on that? What are your thoughts?
Well, what's really cool, thank you, Carrie, is the first move is that you're even thinking about that, right? That you might not know what it is, but that something inside of you is moved. I think that's huge. And I think it's important, one, as we create a new paradigm, to even value even that part of the step towards awakening is, I'm not sure exactly what this is, but there's something inside of me that makes me curious, and that's actually moving me to get curious about something more, something that feels more in alignment with who I can see myself, experience being humanity. That sort of curiosity. So that's a really great thing in itself, is we don't necessarily have to know totally what it means just yet. and learning to be okay with that, and then explore in that realm of what it means to discover what that means for self, I think is huge. And that's also, I feel, music kind of represents that. When you're exploring, when you're composing, when you're bringing it up, you're checking out rhythms and melodies and textures and dynamics and all these different things. So you're in the exploratory phase. And then I feel like sort of like even that word harmony, you know, in the beginning of sort of talking about that sort of we space, like I feel like something that my dear friend Mark Goffney says is we're literally recovering the memory of our future selves. Yeah. And I love, we're literally recovering the memory of who we actually are, right? We're literally recovering that. It's like, wait a minute, I'm actually not my small contracted self that feels insecure about all of these different things. There's actually way more to me than this. And I feel it not only in myself, but I feel it in the people around me and who I'm aligning myself with. And if I'm not feeling it from them, I'm feeling it from the people I want to be around and starting to connect with them. So it's like this energetic sort of awakening that's bringing all of us together who have that awareness, even if we don't know what it is just yet, that there's something that's bringing us together for a higher purpose that feels bigger than us and that feels really good, and that possibility lives inside of. And then we're resonating, right? You know, high vibrational energy moves at a certain speed. Lower vibrational energy moves at a certain speed. When you bring faster moving energy into the room, it literally raises that energy up. And the more awareness we have, the more activated we are at recovering the memory of actually who we are, that amazing, great version of who we absolutely are capable of being, especially when we allow ourselves and give ourselves permission and at times step out of the way. We begin to resonate this awakening that we are these incredible, powerful, spiritual, worthy, magical, delightful, gifted, talented, generous human beings. And despite what we may have learned from our upbringing or from influences of our society, I feel like we're awakening to that. And sometimes, you know, in terms of music, my role at times is not necessarily have to use words always. It's just that little piece of inspiration, of possibility, and then for you to go discover what that means, to feel it in your bones, to feel it in your nervous system, to feel it in your life. How did that land? What comes up for you? Where is it leading you? Where does your curiosity lead? And to trust that. So you know, I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, and as you're talking, you bring up, you talked a little bit earlier about who inspired you in the beginning of the Muppet Show, and Barbara Streisand and Dolly Parton and that. But so when we speak in these terms of music and what you're just speaking to, and being in harmonic resonance and being in the presence of people who have that higher level of consciousness to bring that awareness, to remember who we really are. Who for you in more recent years in terms of musicians, or are there any musicians who you would put into that category that you've put yourself into their space and they've helped you?
Well, I'll tell you, yes, there are. In the recent years, I think throughout, kind of, one of the first musicians, and there's many, by the way, there are many, but I have to give credit to Peter Gabriel. I have to. And Peter Gabriel, I was in my first year of college at CMU doing the classical music thing. And at that time, that film, The Last Temptation of Christ, came out. I don't know if you remember that, with William Dafoe.
Yeah.
And Peter Gabriel was the composer for that film, that album, Passion. Oh my God. When I heard that album,
that album, yes,
I was like, what? You know, I was like, what? You know, like, what is this? what is this music? And it was beyond just hearing exotic sounds. It was world music, but there was a certain frequency in that music that literally just took me out into the cosmos. And I could feel myself expanding, and my curiosity, like longing button was like, oh my God, I want more of it, I want more of it. What is that? What is that? Just got turned on to the fullest. It was it was one of my most favorite albums, beautiful, the complexities, the gorgeousness, the simplicity of it all. And that album really shifted my direction in music. And after I met Michael Pestle, who was my mentor who took me to the aviary, he told me about a place called Cal Arts, California Institute of the Arts in Los Angeles. And hearing Passion, he told me about Cal Arts. I didn't really know what it was. I trusted him. All right, I'm going to apply. Applied, got in. That album led me there to then study music from Indonesia, North and South India, Iran, Brazil, Ghana, you know, all of these incredible places. And what's very interesting about parts of these, some of these places that I'm naming, is that music is also used in ceremony, you know, to engage in a certain type of intention, to engage in a certain type of conscious realm. And tonalities, the way you put notes together, the chanting, it helps you access, it gives you access, a direct link to spirit, to that God, goddess-like energy that actually lives in all of us and in everything in nature. So it gives us that access, and I know Peter Gabriel was huge in that. I remember one of my teachers at Cal Arts is a master musician from Iran, actually. His name is Ostad Hossein Alizadeh. The first time I ever heard him play, now Persian music is gorgeous. Oh, it's just gorgeous. But there's certain, you know, when you meet those certain people who really have it, my Balinese and dance teacher would say there's a word taksu, or grkut in Indonesian. It's that person who really embodies that spirit, like you become that energy. And he was one of them. It was like he'd play that setar, and I would just weep. I would just weep. Chopin. He has that ability. He plays them tablas, and something happens in the room. It's beyond entertainment. It's beyond technique. You know, it's about bringing in the beloved into the space. So a lot of my teachers, again, I've been very lucky and blessed with them. Peter Gabriel, you know, gosh. I'm just going to start with that. You know, there's like a million different pieces, but I know that those were some of my biggest, you know, influences for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't have that experience of having gone to, like, to the degree and level that you have in music, but I've had my own experience of feeling blessed and being able to study with world-renowned percussionists and being in the space of that as well. And some of these, to the normal Western world, these are people that aren't well known. Well, Peter Gabriel, of course, is a huge name, but the names that you're mentioning are teachers that in their own right, even in their countries, are world famous, but maybe not so much in the Western world. But so my question then to you then is, I want to pull this together for those people and those of us who aren't artists. We're not musicians. We didn't study music like you studied. What would you say is that starting point for us? What advice do you have for us to create our personal lives as a unique work of art, just as you've done, but to sort of harness this power of music in our lives? What do we do? What would be your advice for that beginning point for us in the awakening through the music piece?
I would say, one, instead of looking at what you're not, I'm not this, I'm not that, I haven't, I can't, I shouldn't, I'm not, is to turn the channel to, I am this, I'm a part of that, I'm great at this, I'm great at that. And to look in the direction of your greatness, not what you're not. That's the first step. We are all an artist in our own way. We were children first. Children have that like inner artist ability anyway. Our imagination helps connect us to our artistry, our imagination. I happen to be, you know, one that uses music and theater and visual arts and dance as a way to help me access. But not everybody, that's not their access point, but they still have that inner artist that lives inside of them. And maybe it's important to focus on that part of yourself a little bit more. I think it's important to figure out who that is, and it starts with your gifts and talents. And I think also part of asking yourself, well, what's my legacy? What do I want to leave behind? And what's the meaning and value of that? You know, and how does that contribute in a big way? And then the second part would be to layer, what are your gifts? What are you known for? What are you great at? Even if it's just something like, you know, you're a great listener, or you're really great at mathematics. What is your gift? That's part of your artistry. And then share it as much as you can. You know, contribute no matter what level you're at. Whether you're like at super advanced maestro virtuosity level, you know, or you know that you're really good at it and you still have more to go. I think the more you can share your gifts with others, you're going to be stepping into that frequency. I feel like it's all about just giving your gifts and being the person who you're actually meant to be, and not hoarding it all and keeping it all to yourself and getting perfect and ready enough, and until then I can't share it. But just wherever you're at, sharing it and really engaging in the part of yourself that loves to be in the imagination, and just taking inventory based on the meaning and value of what you want to leave behind. Start from that place.
Yeah, wonderful. Hey, you guys, if you want to hang out with T-Bird and I for a few minutes after the show in the afterglow, I just put the link into the comments below this live broadcast. So when we end the broadcast, you're more than welcome to join us. All you need to do is click on that link, meet T-Bird, talk to her, ask her your questions. We'd love to have you join us in the afterglow green room. So T, would you be willing to share with us another little luscious piece of musical offering as we head out for our show today?
I'd love to. Thank you so much, Lisa. This is for all of you. Have a beautiful afternoon, everybody.
Aw, thanks, T-Bird. That was beautiful. And we're going to close out the show here. Thank you, T-Bird, for just joining us today and sharing your beauty and your gifts and your wisdom, hello, and your musical transmissions with us. It was just absolutely phenomenal to have you here, and I feel so blessed that not only to have you here as a guest, but also that you're a dear friend of mine as well. So thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Beauty. Deep bow. Thank you.
And to everybody else who was able to show up live, thank you so much for joining us live. For those of you that are watching in replay, thanks for watching in replay. Remember that you can still leave your questions and comments for T-Bird on our event page here. We'll still get those comments, can still engage with you there. Those of you who are live and have a few minutes and want to join in the Afterglow party, go ahead and do that. The link is in the comments area for you. And once again, thanks to all of you for showing up today. It is my belief that we are all visionaries. Each of us has an inner calling to contribute to the greater good, whether it's in our family, our community, on this planet, in this world in some way. And I hope that today's show, you were able to glean just a few insights into the visionary's journey. And hopefully you'll be joining us back in our next episode. And one last final quick reminder to subscribe to our show at www.innerstatecoaching.com/visionary leaders. We'll see you all next time. Bye for now.